I am the religion of all those who are brave and good. Hello, I'm Henry IV, and I'm the greatest leader of all time. For starters, I was able to single-handedly reunify my nation, France, and bring about religious tolerance for all my people. That is an accomplishment in itself. I genuinely cared about the well-being of my nation. I couldn't say the same for some of my opponents. I lowered taxes on French citizens, made peace with the Ottoman Empire, and opened up trade routes to Asia. I also beautified France by placing highways and canals that modernized the area. And I introduced the silk industry and the manufacture of luxury items. We also can't forget the Edict of Nantes, which I created, that granted religious freedom to Protestants, despite the remain of a state religion. The government I established completely eliminated the national debt, and I revived the economy by undertaking projects to develop agriculture. I also reorganized the French army, raising the pay of our soldiers and fortifying strongholds on the frontier. I could honestly go on all day. Let's begin with my first opponent, President Teddy Roosevelt. He is none other than a thief. When he wanted to build a canal across Panama, he helped Panama become independent from Colombia, only by taking away some of Colombia's territory. He then proceeded to sign a treaty with Bono Varilla, who only had a claim to represent the Panamanian government. He was an imperialist and pursued a foreign policy that put American needs above those of people in other nations. We can't forget that Roosevelt was also a big believer in white supremacy and racial fitness. He felt that Anglo-Saxons were being overwhelmed by lower races and believed that they needed to improve themselves to win out the Darwinian competition. Survival of the fittest, right? Before Roosevelt was even president, he badly wanted war with Spain due to their actions in Cuba. So he did whatever he could to make sure that the war would happen. And when it did occur, it resulted in the deaths of many people. Despite Roosevelt's public spirit, he actually spent much of his life behaving like a bully, drunk on his own self-regard. My next opponent, St. Paul, wished for women to remain silent, denying their basic rights. He said, and I quote, "Women should remain silent in churches. They are not allowed to speak, must be in submission, as the law says." Also, during missions, St. Paul was often unwelcomed, but he would continue to seek convert, and people didn't like him for that reason. He also often placed his own converts in uncomfortable situations. St. Paul even recognized the possibility that after death he would be punished for his own faults, but still demanded that his converts must be perfect. He wanted them blameless and innocent for when the Lord returned. He regarded suffering and premature death as punishment for those who sinned. He was also referred to as Saul the Persecutor even after Jesus had met him. My final opponent, Harvey Milk, was both a predator and by extension a statutory rapist. For example, when Harvey was in the Navy, he tried to seduce many into sodomy in his San Diego apartment. Let's not forget that he is in his mid-30s and has a sexual appetite for 15-year-old boys. He looked for partners in men who were desperately in need of a father figure. Yeah, you heard that right. The fact that the United States recognizes him as a hero is completely not okay. How can you justify this as right? My opponents may try to argue that I changed my religion on many different occasions, which makes me an untrustworthy person. However, in order to prevent turmoil in my country, I had to switch between religions. Through my marriage to Margaret of Valois, I became the King of France, and in order to gain rule and create immense reform, I needed to convert from my religion. My work allowed for tolerance and widespread peace as seen in the Edict of Nantes. And if I didn't convert, then I would not have been able to enact these laws that paved the way for a tolerant French rule. I did what needed to be done. I sacrificed following my own religion in order to ensure that Protestants no longer had to fear persecution. I granted them equal religious and civil liberties. I've also heard the rumor that I smell bad, but I would like to say literally everyone in 17th century Europe smelled bad. We had no running water or soap or anything like that. I was too busy running my country and ending 36 years of religious war to be concerned with such vanity. Before I leave today, I would just like to remind you that my leadership set an example for other kingdoms to be influenced by. A great leader is someone who inspires those around them, innovates, and is committed to their job. I, Henry IV, am all of these things. Thank you.